I'm telling you right now, NASCAR did not just leave COTA with a race winner. It left with a fallout problem, because the second Tyler Reddick held off Shane Van Gisbergen on a road course and made history, the entire fan base went into overdrive. I'm talking instant backlash, instant suspicion, instant cheating talk, and a whole lot of people acting like the sport had another crisis on its hands before the dust even settled. And when all of that noise hit at once, every eye turned to Shane Van Gisbergen. Because when the road course standard gets beaten late at Circuit of the Americas, fans want emotion, fans want answers, and fans want somebody to blame. That is exactly why this blew up so fast, because this was never going to stay a simple race result. Not with Reddick winning 3 straight, not with SVG finishing second, not with social media already ready to explode. And if you're a real NASCAR fan who lives for the intensity, the debates, and those moments when one finish changes the whole conversation around the sport, then hit like and subscribe right now, because this channel is for people who actually care about what these races mean. We're building a community here that reacts like fans, but still breaks down what really happened when the noise gets loud. And after COTA, trust me, this is the kind of story this community was made for. Now let's set this up the right way, because the stakes were massive before the green flag ever dropped on March 1, 2026. This was the Duramax Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, the first road course race of the NASCAR Cup season, and Tyler Reddick came into Austin already carrying wins in the Daytona 500 in Atlanta. That meant the number 45 Toyota driver for 23SI Racing had a shot to do something no Cup driver had ever done before: win the first 3 races of a season. Let that sink in. Nobody in NASCAR history had opened a season 3 for 3. But standing right there on the other side was Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 97 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing, the man who had won 5 of the 6 road course cup races in 2025, and arrived at COTA chasing a 6th straight road course victory. So this wasn't just a race. This was history colliding with the most feared road course racer in the field. That matters, and the race itself was loaded with moving pieces. Ross Chastain came alive early and won Stage 1. Ty Gibbs used the strategy game to take Stage 2. Ryan Blaney was a real factor. Christopher Bell kept hanging around. Michael McDowell quietly turned in another strong road course run. Connor Zilisch had a chaotic day with spins that kept resetting his momentum. This was not some clean one-man cruise from start to finish. This was a proper COTA chess match, with pit cycles, stage sacrifices, tire management, and fuel windows all shaping the race every few laps. But through all of that, Tyler Reddick kept doing exactly what top-tier drivers do when the stakes are enormous. He stayed calm. He stayed fast. He stayed out front. He won the pole, led a race-high 58 of 95 laps, and kept the field chasing him all afternoon. But here's where the tension really started to tighten. No matter how strong Reddick looked during the day, every NASCAR fan watching knew the whole mood would change if Shane Van Gisbergen got close late. Because SVG has built that kind of reputation. If he's behind you on a road course in the closing laps, you don't feel comfortable. You feel hunted. You feel like one weak corner is all it takes. So when Ross Chastain lost a wheel and brought out the key late caution, suddenly the entire race got compressed into one final showdown. Lap 79 restart. Reddick leading. Blaney in the mix. SVG restarting third. Then Van Gisbergen attacks downhill through the S's, gets by Blaney, and jumps into second. At that moment, you could feel the pressure through the screen. It became Tyler Reddick trying to protect history against the one driver fans trust Mo in that exact scenario. For several laps, it looked like the pass might be coming. It really did. SVG was there. He was applying pressure. He was close enough to make every Reddick fan sweat through every braking zone and every uphill launch toward turn 1. And I think that is exactly why the fallout got so huge after the checkered flag, because a lot of people were emotionally prepared for one ending and got a completely different one. Instead of folding, Reddick answered. Every time Van Gisbergen got closer, Reddick would find another step. Every time it looked like the number 97 might finally force the issue, the number 45 shut the door before the opportunity fully opened. Then, instead of barely surviving, Reddick started to stretch it. By the finish, the margin was 3.944 seconds. Let that sink in. What felt like a knife-edge battle in real time turned into a gap that looked almost comfortable on paper. AP News NASCAR.com, and that is the exact moment NASCAR's fallout began, because fans didn't just react to the result, they questioned it. Social media went straight to cheating claims. The word scandal started flying around. People instantly treated the result like it had to come with some hidden explanation. And here's the thing, this is where the real story gets more revealing than the headline. The title version says SVG blasted Reddick. The emotional online version says NASCAR got exposed. But when Shane Van Gisbergen actually spoke after the race, what he said did not fuel the scandal the way many fans expected. He said it was weird to be disappointed with second. He said the Cup Series is at a high level. He said Reddick's driving was immaculate. He said Tyler was amazing. He said his own team lacked a little bit of turn and a little bit of drive, and that they didn't quite have enough. That is not the language of a driver exposing a cheat. That is the language of a driver admitting he got outraced. Now this is where the real fallout becomes impossible for NASCAR to ignore. Because even though SVG praised the winner, even though post-race inspection found no issues with Reddick's car, and even though the actual quotes point toward respect rather than accusation, a huge section of the fan base still went straight to suspicion. That is a trust problem, that is a credibility problem, and that's the real impact here. NASCAR can put on a race with history, strategy, star power, tension, and a direct battle between two elite road course drivers, and still the conversation can get swallowed by conspiracy in minutes if the result feels too shocking. That should matter to the sport, not because this race proved cheating. It didn't. But because it proved how quickly disbelief can overpower facts when fans don't fully trust what they're seeing. And competitively, the consequences are enormous. Tyler Reddick didn't just win another trophy. He became the first driver in NASCAR history to win the first 3 races of a Cup season. 23SI Racing became the first team to sweep the opening 3 races of a year since Petty Enterprises in 1963. Michael Jordan was celebrating on pit road. Billy Scott and the number 45 team looked completely locked in, and after COTA, Reddick held a 70-point lead over teammate Bubba Wallace, with Chase Elliott 72 points back. That is a huge early season statement. That changes how the garage sees 23SI. That changes how the field races Reddick. And maybe most importantly, it changes the road course conversation, because now Tyler Reddick has proof that he can stare down Shane Van Gisbergen late at a place like COTA and still come out on top. And on the Trackhouse side, I actually think this says something powerful about SVG too. The whole reason the reaction was so explosive is because people are simply not used to seeing him lose that kind of road course fight. That tells you how high his standard is. That tells you how much respect he carries. So I don't think this weakens Shane Van Gisbergen at all. If anything, it sharpens the rivalry. Reddick now knows he can beat him under maximum pressure. SVG now knows exactly where the race slipped away and how close he really was. That's dangerous for the rest of the field, because the next time these two line up at a road course, everybody is going to remember what happened at COTA. So now I want to hear from you, because this is the debate NASCAR fans are going to keep having after COTA. Did Shane Van Gisbergen's actual comments shut down the scandal narrative and prove Tyler Reddick simply earned this win fair and square? Or does the way fans reacted show NASCAR has a much deeper trust problem than the sport wants to admit? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more NASCAR reaction, more drama, and more passionate breakdowns after the biggest moments in the sport, like this video, comment below and subscribe right now, because this community is only getting louder from here.